part of the community?
For me, I'm not 100% sure, but I'm thinking Carmen with just went with my church youth group and saw him live.
Carmen was awesome. Yep.
I actually had the chance to see Carmen back in the 80s and really enjoyed it. It was at a small church around here in Metro Atlanta, and yeah, I remember really being impressed. It's been a long time, but but yeah, good stuff. Good stuff.
Honestly, that might have been my first as well.
So, over the course of your musical careers, have you had an opportunity to meet any of your musical heroes?
Well, I did get to meet Mark Hall. We hung out for a little bit from Casting Crowns. Believe it or not, that was not actually at the Casting Crowns concert. This was years after. Let's see. I've met J.R. Collins, which plays for David Crowder now, but he was with Pat Barrett. I met both of them when they were with Unhindered. So that was pretty cool. Great guys.
What about the rest of you?
For me, well, I lived in Miami for many years when I was younger, and there was a club about an hour away called Club 777. And it was just a small Christian club, and they had a lot of Christian acts. And it was great because it was just this really small place. You could go listen to your favorite band and meet them afterwards, take pictures, whatever. So I got to meet some of my favorites, definitely. And some of these might sound cheesy because they're like really old or whatever, but White Cross, Barren Cross,
Oh yeah,
the Lead, which I ended up playing with the guitarist from the Lead later. Yeah, just bands like that. It was just great to be one-on-one with them. Very cool.
that's awesome. That's awesome. So another question for each of you, and that is, away from music, what are some of your other hobbies and interests?
Well, I like being in the woods, camping, hiking, stuff like that. Like playing some disc golf. And I've got a whole house full of animals, but I love snakes. So, yeah. I guess that's a hobby.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, that's hard. I do really enjoy, I've learned that I enjoy working out a lot more than I realized I would, but I do really enjoy that. It's a nice kind of activity to do on the side. I enjoy, I don't know, I'm so nerdy. I love like video games. I love D&D. I love tabletop RPGs, stuff like that. I'm such a nerd. So I'm not all cool and interesting and woodsy like a lot of these guys, but that's kind of what I do for fun.
That's cool.
For me, I mean, you could say I have hobbies, but I really don't have time for them. I work all the time, and pretty much it's work and the band and my kids, when I can see them. But my interests are, I am also very nerdy, and I love documentaries, and I like to know how stuff works. I'm not an engineer, I'm a land surveyor, but I love watching everything about bridges and roads and houses and how stuff is built. I do like camping too, but I don't get the chance to do it much. But I've committed myself to do it at least once a year, so I've been doing that. I used to like drawing when I could, so yeah, it's always an issue of finding the time. So, and Evan, our guitarist, just showed up. So Evan, introduce yourself.
Half of
Hey,
me.
Evan.
Only half.
Okay.
Oh, there.
There we go.
How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Doing well, man. Just getting in from work. I appreciate the opportunity and the patience.
Oh, no problem, man. This is This has been fun so far. You know, there's a couple of questions, I guess, that I've already posed that I'll pose to you, and that is, what are some of your musical influences?
Musical influences. A lot actually. My house was always full of classical and jazz. Used to hang out and listen with my dad to a bunch of jazz music. Then I got into contemporary Christian stuff, early Michael W. Smith, which is pretty cool.
Oh yeah.
I actually like all of his early stuff far better than his later stuff.
Same here, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. And then ultimately a turning point for me was Stephen Curtis Chapman, the Forsake of the Call album. I actually got to see him live and meet him backstage, and I was 14 years old at the time, and so my entire world turned upside down.
You
But
answered another question.
What's that?
So you answered another question.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are and then, you know, moving on as I got older, I discovered I like loud, hard, heavy, fast things. And so, you know, classic rock, I was all into all the classic rock. Z93 was a station for years down here.
Oh,
classic
yeah.
rock in Atlanta. I used to know every single song on the playlist by the first note. I can't do that anymore, but and then from there, Nirvana and Alice in Chains, and then from there I discovered the underground Christian music scene, and so it goes everywhere, man. I like Metallica, I like Demon Hunter, I like POD and Pillar, Skillet, all of them. All of that is influence.
Awesome. But yeah, I was a Z93 and 96 rock kid myself. You know, I grew up in the 80s here in Atlanta, so you know, it's definitely good times. So you know, I asked him. I'll ask you the same thing. How often do you change strings?
It depends on a couple of things. I'll generally play every set on a new set of strings. Practice, if I'm kind of sweaty, then I'll change them more often. I generally just change them when they start losing tone.
Gotcha.
Like if I can't get a good pinch harmonic, if they don't ring quite right, I'll go ahead and change them, even if they don't look nasty. But yeah, I always play a set on a new set of strings.
Gotcha. That makes sense. So something else that I've asked them that I'll pose to you as well. Have you had a chance in your musical career to meet any of your musical heroes?
Yes. Meeting is a relative term. Absolutely love the band Disciple. Just their ministry, their music, everything is phenomenal. And I got the chance to be a fan when Rob plays with Tricord, and Tricord opened up for Disciple, and so I got the chance to. He's not here because he has car trouble. So
that's
yeah.
fine. You know, I actually had Tricord on recently, so I had the chance to talk to him.
Oh, good.
I'm sorry he's got car trouble though. There's never a good time for that.
No, but yeah, I got to meet Disciple. I was a big fan of if you remember the Showdown.
Yeah,
I love the Showdown. That Temptation Come My Way album is one of my favorite albums of all time. So me and Rob got to go back when he was real young. Got to go see them, and it turned out that their touring drummer was the drummer from Demon Hunter. So
that's cool.
Yeah, so I got to hang. I actually did. Now that I think about it, we actually did get to hang out with them for about 45 minutes after the show. It was pretty epic. But yeah, as far as just got to be a fanboy for Disciple. I don't know if that's
cool. That's cool. But yeah, you know, if it's, I will actually completely agree with you on the Michael W. Smith front, though. As far as I'm concerned, his good stuff pretty much ended at the Eye to Eye album.
I would agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, what he's doing is great. You know, he's reaching a lot of people, but it's just not my cup of tea. So So anyway, what I'm going to do now for people that aren't familiar with Crimson Overtone, I'm actually going to play about the first minute or so of one of your videos that I found on YouTube. It's the video for Coffin Black. I really that song really speaks to me, and I really dig that one. So I'm going to share my screen, and we'll play about a minute of it just to give folks a taste of what you guys do.
Deep in the ground, I hear it now. Deep in the ground, I hear it now. Deep in the ground, I feel it now. Deep in the ground, I feel it now. Moving on before your time. Robbed of what was rightfully mine. Buried now, a heart and soul, and a mind that won't relent. Deep in the ground, I feel it now. Deep in the ground, I feel it now.
That is really and truly a fabulous song. I've been listening to that quite a lot, and man, that song definitely speaks to me. So kudos.
Well,
Thank
thank
you.
you. If I may ask, what do you get out of it?
Well, I like the idea of I guess the concept of being buried in your life before Christ and emerging from the coffin or the grave as a new creation. I mean, that's sort of what I'm taking from it.
Definitely one of the meanings.
What I mean, tell me a little bit about the song. I mean, what was the meaning you guys were going for? What was kind of the songwriting process for that? Let's delve into it a little bit.
It's actually a really fun story.
The purpose or the meaning behind the song now, because it actually changed from when it was originally written. The song itself is completely different from when it was originally written. Because of that guy.
Sorry.
Anyways, but
My fault.
actually, really, it's grown on me a lot. The way that it is now and the meaning behind it now. It's kind of about the grief of loving somebody that has lost their way, and seeing somebody walking that is still dead in their sins, and the pain that comes with that, and with feeling like that person is lost or is gone in the state that they're in, but also contrasted with the hope that because they're still alive, that Christ can still redeem them and can still save them and bring them back to life. But it is one of those really painful hopes that doesn't necessarily have a happy resolution right away. It's one of those hopes that kind of gets more painful the longer you have to wait, but then, knowing that, Lord willing, He will take what is broken and what is dead, and He will restore it and make it completely whole again. And that's really what we have to hang on to, and that's what the song is about.
That's the bridge concept right there.
Yeah, absolutely. But anyway, like I said, really great song musically. You've got a beautiful voice, and I mean, just all around. like I said, I looked through your stuff, and to me that was the song that I wanted to play to give people a taste. So, um, I mean, regarding the band itself, where did the name come from? I love the name. That was one of the, I mean, I had actually sort of ran across you guys before I actually had Tricord on. So I was, I knew who you guys were, and the name really was what initially intrigued me. Where did that name come from? It's great.
So, like I said earlier, I did major in music in college, and it's a musical concept that originally sparked it. Um, so, in music, there's these things called overtones, and when every person is playing in complete and perfect unison with one another, it creates this natural harmony. So you can hear other notes being played, even though everybody's playing the same pitch. So then you have the crimson overtone, and the idea is that if all of us are in perfect unison with God's will for us and for our life and for our ministry, then people are going to be able to see Him in everything that we do. And that is the ultimate goal, is for Christ to shine through and shine over everything we do. Whether we are out there like super hard and heavy preaching the gospel, or whether we're just living our everyday lives.
Yeah. And the crimson aspect, I remember sitting around the table. That's exactly right. That's what everything is, and it started with the overtone, and so the crimson piece, though, one of the images in my head that I discuss a lot when we were trying to name the band was the power of music, which is sort of how the overtone is related. The scripture says our battle's not against flesh and blood, but against rulers and principalities and powers of the air. In other words, they're not in a realm which we can physically see. And then if you think about that, when you go back through scripture and you can see evidences where in various places where God spoke. So there was sound, there was air movement, right? And things were created, things happened. And there's lots of things like that where Moses spoke and said things, and things happened because of what God was doing through him. And then there's the walls of Jericho. Jericho represented an evil nation in the way of what the Lord was trying to do in the earth. He was trying to bring about salvation to the earth because of how wicked it was becoming and how it's been. And so you have the sound, the trumpets. I mean, it wasn't kumbaya, it was a battle cry, hence the metal, right? The hard rock and the metal, because it's a battle cry, right? So there's the sound, and then there's the crimson cord of the faithful that at the last minute said, no, I'm with you. And so at the last minute, she throws that crimson cord out the window, and she was of the line of our Messiah, you know? And so it just shows that there's so much power and so much hope when you combine all these concepts. And that's the sort of the round picture of the name as a whole.
That is really cool. I mean, that makes me like the name even more. I mean, the fact that you've combined, a musical concept with a thread that's running all through Scripture. I mean, that's just really that's powerful.
I blame him.
Yeah.
Inspiration, I can't. I don't think we can claim it.
Absolutely. So, bass players tend to be in partnership with the drummer as the rhythm section for the band. Tell me about that relationship. What do you guys do to lock in with each other? How does that go?
You just get out of the way here.
Right.
I don't want to ruin the chemistry.
So when he takes a shower, it works out really well. When he doesn't take a shower,
That's a good question.
I don't know. I mean, this is going to be kind of just typical, but I think we both write the group the best we can. We feel the music the best we can, and like every other instrument, we try to play for the song. You know, and of course, I'm listening to him, and if he does something that I feel I can play with or add to, then I do, and hopefully he does the same for me. But yeah, that's what I would say.
And if he doesn't like it, he'll throw a stick.
Or a chair.
Hey.
No, that-
That'll work. That'll work.
No, I think
what
he said that pretty good. So, it was well said.
What I'm going to do real quick is flip over to the Instagram tab and see what's going on in the chat over there, if anything. Looks like yo buddy TJ is saying hi to you guys, and Tricord's in the chat saying, "Hey fam, love you guys."
What's up, boys?
So, tell me about the songwriting process within the band. You know, is there a primary writer, or is it a pretty collaborative thing? And also, how does your faith influence your songwriting?
I'd say that Evan and I do a lot of the lyrical content, definitely. And then each of us, to some extent, plays a role in the musical songwriting process. I know Evan and Rob definitely play a big part in the musical songwriting, at least structurally. And then Evan and I do a lot of the lyrical songwriting. And then we all kind of get together once we have a concept in mind, and we each add our own pieces, and we restructure and reconfigure until we find something that all of us really enjoy playing. But feel free to correct me. That's kind of how I perceive it.
It's pretty accurate. So the music, the song usually has sort of a really basic, generic order when Christine and I get done. And then when it really becomes how you guys hear it is after we present, hey, we have this thing. And it has a really verse, chorus, bridge, what have you, you know. And it's this idea, and then when everybody else comes in and starts adding their pieces, that's when stuff really starts moving. There's been some songs where we've switched choruses and verses, and I mean, I guess that's exactly what she said. It just comes in, they all come in as a basic entity, very, very, very basic, and then all the band members add to it.
Gotcha. So I know, you know, with bands, the dream is that the band ends up being a full-time thing. But in the meantime, what are each of your day jobs?
I'm a land surveyor and also work part-time for Chick-fil-A.
Woohoo!
Nice.
That's chicken. I am a motorcycle mechanic.
Oh, cool.
I'm a welder.
And I wrangle these guys full time, as well as my own tiny human, and that's
true.
what I do.
It's true.
Oh, nice. Awesome. So you're kind of the den mother.
Yeah, sort of.
Yeah, sort of.
There's no sort of about it. It's the truth.
If she goes like this, everything stops.
Yeah, so the school teacher is a huge benefit.
Yes, I was a school teacher. I was an elementary school teacher and absolutely loved it. It truly is one of my great passions. Education is a huge passion of mine. But when I had my son, I stopped working so that I could stay home with him. But it has the added benefit of being able to do more with the band as well.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And you know, having been a teacher, you've mastered the art of the look. and I'm sure they've all seen the look.
Fearfully, yes.
Somebody has to make all the PowerPoint presentations about what our next steps are going to be.
That's not a lie either.
It's not. I wish it was. I'm not I'm only being slightly sarcastic.
And we get fun things like this.
Nice.
Conflict resolution.
Oh, yes.
Because conflict resolution is hard sometimes when you work with a bunch of artists.
And then
Yes,
time out, of course. That's a painful one.
Here's another one, just because it's funny.
Nice. So, if you guys can narrow it down to one or two little anecdotes, what have been some of the most interesting experiences you've had playing live?
Well, one of our past shows, Christina decided to get out and start a mosh pit. That was pretty cool.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
That's fun. I don't know about y'all, but for me, like our last show last year, I was 8 months pregnant.
That's a good one.
I was very pregnant. And everybody just expected me to just kind of stand there and sing, and I didn't do that, and everybody was a little bit freaked out by it. And there was some slight concern that my child was going to be born in Indiana and not in Georgia. So that was interesting. He
No
wasn't.
doubt. Well, that's good. That's good. So, for each of you, what is your favorite Crimson Overtone song to play live?
Mine's Miserable Company.
Same.
It has a very, well, first of all, it has different time signatures, so I'm a drummer. I love that. But it has a very specific natural flow. We also play it without a click. And it has certain hooks and very passionate. It's just my favorite song. She goes crazy on it. I'm like, so I love it. Yep.
I think I would actually say the same. I love Miserable Company. It's not released yet, but we are in the process of recording it. I'm so excited for everybody to hear it recorded. But yeah, I think, and actually Alex and I wrote that song lyrically together. It was one of the first ones that he really took a role in the lyrical writing on. And it's to me, it's a very, like he said, it's very passionate, and it's a very intense lyrical piece. And it really, really pulls in my theatrical influences, which I very much enjoy.
Yeah. Yeah, her classical side really comes out on that song too. You hear it in other songs, but especially in Miserable Company. So.
Gotcha. So, before you guys go on live, do you have any pre-show traditions, any things that you try to do consistently before you go on?
Our biggest thing really is prayer.
Yeah.
If you
Yeah.
call that tradition, I mean, that's just giving credit where it's due, you know?
Absolutely, yeah.
I've sort of defaulted to some oddball traditions. In other words, well, not in other words, but I tend to not eat. I just can't eat, and that's kind of weird. And but that's the thing. Like I'll just kind of get in the zone, and I'm not eating, and I'm just in the zone before playing, and it's usually trying to make my hands quit shaking.
For me, I don't change my underwear for a whole week before the show.
Nice.
When you talk about the bass player not showering, it's actually the drummer.
My goodness. So, things we do try to do on the road whenever possible, because we're usually in different vehicles, but whenever possible, we try to eat together. You know, even if it's meeting at a gas station or something at a fast food or whatever. But we try. That's always very difficult because we leave at different times depending on work and baby and stuff like that. But we do try to do that when we're out on the road, definitely.
Gotcha. So, being Christian artists, do you try to limit yourselves to Christian venues, or are you willing to play basically any place that'll have you?
And I think the desire is to get out of the Christian venues. The Lord said it's not the people who are healthy that need a doctor, it's the people who are sick. And I mean, the world is a very sick place. The world needs the message that Christ has given us. So, I mean, I think we play some Christian venues. We definitely do. It's good to go and encourage other believers and be encouraged by other believers. But I think the ultimate goal for us, anyways, is to be a Christian band for non-Christians, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. Yeah.
If somebody can find even a little bit of hope in the music, something to latch on to. I used to be one that sat down when I got an album and read the lyrics. I would always read the entire lyric sheet as I was listening to it and sort of get involved with the music. It wasn't just a passing thing. And there was so much hope that I got. And I've been a believer a long time, but man, there's places where even believers are like, do I really? Am I just, you know? And you got to have something to hold on to. And that's kind of what we want to be and the people we want to work with. Yeah, like she said, point.
Absolutely. So, what are y'all's thoughts on, I guess, for lack of a better word, the Christian metal conundrum? You know, a lot of people, will classify all metal as being inherently bad or inherently satanic or this, that, and the other thing. And the truth couldn't be further from that. You know, there is a lot of good, there is a lot of negative, dark metal out there. But I would say more often than not, you know, if you really listen to the music and the message of at least a lot of it, it's actually very positive. So, what are your thoughts on the Christian metal conundrum?
Is this where I should be silent? Because I am very passionate about this topic.
I say, how many hours do you have
Right?
to sit here and listen specifically to him? Like,
True.
we all are
So
very
you
passionate
can
about
talk,
this.
but we'll put you on a timer.
Okay, you put me on a timer.
Go.
The short story is, if we're dealing with the powers and principalities and powers of the air, if it is war, you don't enter war with a harp. I mean, you can if that's what you have, right? We don't have harps. We have loudspeakers and big guitars that make lots of noise. And if you look at the history of rock and roll and you see the effect that music has on people, how come we're going to let the enemy do that? And then we're going to sit back here and say, oh no, we can only play piano. You know, how come the enemy gets to go out in the airwaves and out into the rest of the world and snatch souls left and right, but we got to sit back behind a little tie. You know, we got to put on our tie and our 3-piece suit, and we got to be, oh, kumbaya. No, I'm going to go out fighting, man. I got an
Preach,
axe.
brother, preach.
You know what I'm saying? It's
Yeah.
like, you got to fight, like you fight fire with fire, right? And if our God's a consuming fire, why are we putting it out? Good grief.
Yep.
Anyway, I should stop now. I'm getting myself worked up. So just to make a point, my daughter likes some of the, and this is really small, really quick, I promise. I promise, don't hurt me. My daughter likes to listen to some of the really chill, relaxing electronic music, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Really neat stuff. I like it too. And
Like the ambient type stuff.
Yeah,
Is that what you're
exactly.
talking? Yeah.
And it was, some of that stuff was playing on YouTube the other day, and just going through different songs, different artists, yada yada. And all of a sudden, there was this series of them, and every single one of them was had a title dealing with witchcraft. All of them. And there were pentagrams all over it, and all this stuff was like, see? I mean, that's nice music. Why don't you go put that in somebody's ears? I mean, it's just music. Whatever they put on the front, it's whatever they put on the front. But my point is like, people want to judge, but they're just judging because they're not comfortable.
Right.
It has no merit. It has no base.
Right. Well, like you were saying, you know, the enemy is very active right now, and in so many situations, the mask is coming off, and you know, evil doesn't even care that it's being exposed these days. It's out there with the attitude of I'm here. What are you going to do about it? Go ahead.
Do what we're doing too.
Absolutely. So you guys are all, I guess, based here in Metro Atlanta. what is your favorite thing about the Atlanta area?
Outside the Atlanta area,
I'm actually from LJ, which is like North
outside the
Georgia.
Atlanta area.
Oh yeah, I know
I
where
live
LJ is.
now, but from LJ, like I was stuck in the mountains, so the nature and the wildlife and everything, I loved it. So I'm still kind of inching towards the mountains, but not as much.
Yeah, I will say I really enjoy North Georgia. I really do. And Atlanta's included in that. I mean, if you run through Atlanta on a comfortable night, the lights are beautiful. I mean, there's a lot of really cool people around here, a lot of neat places to eat, and I mean, there's just a lot going on, and it's a fun place. I prefer to stay away from traffic, so the further away I get, the better.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a beautiful area. I enjoy it.
Same here. I mean, I've been here in Metro Atlanta since 1983. So I mean, if I'm from anywhere, I guess I'm from here. But this is a question that I've asked on every one of these, and it's really become my favorite question because I just get some of the coolest answers. And this is for each of you. Knowing everything that you know now, if you could give any advice to your younger selves, what would it be?
All right, I'll start, and you might need to put me on a timer. I am recently divorced, around 2 years, and it's been the heaviest thing I've ever experienced. The biggest regret, the most painful thing, and I've gone through other things in life, but this is definitely the worst. Um, so looking back, I've learned a lot. I've had to do a lot of inner work and kind of figure stuff out. Um, a lot of it has been me realizing that I've lived my life in fear of being myself. Yeah, just fear has been a big, buddy for me, sadly. Um, Fear of confronting things with others and with myself. Um, the fear of speaking up when I needed to, fear of loving people the way that they're supposed to be loved. Um, so if I were to talk to my younger self, I mean, that's so I wish I could do that. Um, it's a lot of my life I've played religion, and I've played, I go to church on Sunday and Wednesday and blah blah blah. But a lot of it has been fake. A lot of it has been just a practice, a tradition, habit. Um, and it's now, and it's sad, but it takes a lot of pain and like they say, hitting rock bottom to really appreciate God for real and have a relationship for real and talk to Him daily for real. So I guess if I could talk to my younger self, I would very much push him to be honest with himself and with others, and definitely honest and transparent with God as far as wants, needs, desires, fears, hopes, all those things.
Very good.
I guess mine was pretty similar to Alex, except if I were to talk to my younger self, I tell myself that yes, sin tastes sweet, it feels good, but only for a season. And don't run from God, because I did it for many years, and I went through a lot of trauma and addiction, everything I shouldn't have been in. I would have told myself to keep trusting and don't lean on my own understanding for sure, because you don't know everything.
No.
So I know there's a reason everything happens, and God will use it if you allow it. But
Hmm.
but yeah, for sure. You know, the traumas and everything going on in your past, it's hard. So puts a lot on your heart.
It does.
I can.
You can go first.
So the biggest thing for me is I would tell my younger self to stop listening to people's negative commentary, even if it's coming from family, even if it's perceived negative. Stop listening to it, because I was in a work environment at one point in time that was extremely toxic. And I let the negative comments that were made over a number of years begin to define who I was.
Hmm.
Growing up as a kid with ADHD in the 70s and 80s, nobody knew what to do with us, right? So I ended up getting a whole heck of a lot of negative commentary. I was born in 77, so it wasn't that much. It was mostly through the 80s, you know. But nobody knew what to do with ADHD back then. And so I allowed ignorant people's negative commentary to define who I felt like. Not what I saw, but what I saw in the mirror, like beyond just my physical appearance. I let it define me. And, you know, those negatives are never going to leave. You're always going to have people in your family. You're going to have people that call themselves friends that are going to constantly feed you negative. They're going to constantly feed it to you. Whether they mean to or not, it's just going to happen. And if you allow that commentary to become your identity, you will not be able to hear God. You will not be able to hear reason. You will not be able to hear peace or safety. You will not be able to feel any of that stuff. It's taken years to get over that, and I'm still in the process of it. And yeah, anybody, if you have those negatives in your head, go find out what the scripture says in Psalms and in Proverbs. Begin to categorize it and begin to understand that you were made, as it says in our song, Girl Who Never Mattered. You will never be someone who didn't matter in God, who doesn't matter in God's hands. Ever. And it's very important that people can understand and move that direction.
Well said.
I think for me, sorry, I had to think on it because there's so much that happened, and there's the part of me that would love to go back and say, you know, don't trust this person, or go and find that list a lot sooner. If you don't know, Girl Who Never Mattered is based off of a true story of my abuser had a list that he kept on the back of a coloring page, and it was a list of all the girls that he had sexually abused and was currently sexually exploiting. And he used that list to show me and say, oh, but you're so special. But by the end of it, I ended up on the list just like every other girl. And so I literally became a girl who never mattered. And that was my title. But it's one of those things some of me wishes I would go back and say, just don't be a music major, or just don't go to that school, or just don't hang out with that crowd. But I don't think younger me would have listened to that, and I think that there's a reason things have played out the way that they did, as painful and as hard as it is. So I think I would really go back and just tell myself not to be a victim and not make excuses. Don't let the pain justify further bad behavior, because when I did get out, for a really long time, my anger and my frustration, I used that to justify very hateful behavior towards certain communities and people groups, because that was the community and people group that I was abused in. And so I justified all of that vitriol just because I was hurting, and in my hurt, I went and hurt a lot of other people. And I think um, if I could say anything, it would just be to not make excuses for bad behavior, take responsibility for my part in everything. But don't take responsibility for the things that were done to me, because that also does nobody any good. Take responsibility for my actions and move forward, because that's the only way to heal, is to move forward and not use the past as an excuse to prevent the future, if that makes sense.
It makes a lot of sense, and you know, it is so easy to fall into the trap of getting trapped by your past. So yeah, I think it's something that we all struggle with, and you know, it's there's just a lot of mind games that we all play with ourselves, and you know, it's but thankfully we've got a savior who can deliver us from that if we just let him. So we're getting toward the end of things now, and another thing that I've done in all of these is I've let the current guests pose a question for the next guest, and so one of my previous guests, this is kind of a two-part thing. One of my previous guests was a guy named Drew, who was or is the bass player for a band up in Nashville called Echo Pilot. And he just posed this question, and I've decided to just go ahead and include it in all of the lives going forward. And that is, what is your favorite sandwich?
Hands down, my wife makes the best Reuben in the universe. Period.
Okay. Awesome. Next.
I'm sure I'm going to gross some people out. But peanut butter. Shut up, Alex.
You already heard me, man.
Peanut butter, mayonnaise, and banana sandwich. Then I also have another favorite. It's pretty close. It's peanut butter and onion.
What is wrong with you?
But you got to add a little salt to it.
You know, I knew a kid in high school that ate peanut butter and mayonnaise sandwiches, but I've never heard of peanut butter and onion. That's interesting. Are we talking sweet onion or spicy onion, or how does?
Either just raw.
Okay.
You know when the Yankees talk bad about the South?
I just want you to know, though, the person that introduced me to the peanut butter and onion sandwich was a Yankee.
Okay.
So, what about you? Favorite sandwich?
Favorite sandwich? I mean, see, I was gonna say probably either peanut butter and banana, or just a classic turkey sandwich.
Ooh, that's good. I like a classic turkey sandwich.
So for me, I'm part Mexican, part Cuban. There's a Cuban sandwich called La Medianoche, which is midnight. It's called midnight sandwich.
Mm-hmm.
And it's amazing, and I will go with that.
Very good. Very good. So my previous guests were actually just from a couple of nights ago. I had the band Undefeated.
All right.
And yeah, I told them that you guys were next, and they were definitely excited about that. They think very highly of you guys. So they mentioned that when they're on the road, which is a lot for them, they play a lot of board and card games, and they were wondering what your favorite board and card games are, if you even indulge in such things.
I'll
like sequence. That's pretty fun.
We're big Uno players over here. We'll
Uno's
play the heck out of some Uno, and every now and again we'll play Monopoly, and that's always fun.
It takes too long.
Well, I know you're a D&D player, you said,
That-
and
that's-
RPGs and
favorite, but lately we've actually, my husband and I our dinner time game, it's called Puns of Anarchy, and you essentially have to pick a card and whoever creates the best pun wins. So that's been our dinner time conversation starter lately.
That's lovely.
that actually sounds like a blast.
Oh, it's
Man.
great.
That's great.
I'll have to bring it to the next harvest party.
Yes, please.
Oh.
It's for the time being, it's me and my cat, so I don't really play any board games.
Gotcha.
But in the past, definitely Monopoly, Rummy Cube, stuff like that.
Rummy Cube.
Chess.
Dominoes.
It's been no dominoes. It's been a long time, but chess. Really like chess.
Cool. So, since this is a series, what is it? Do you guys have a question or questions that you would like me to ask the next guest?
I have one that I
Okay.
struggle with. It's not a simple one, but the question is, do you ever, or how often do you question yourself about doing music?
That is actually a really good question. Do any of the rest of you have anything you would like asked?
I mean, I personally feel very strongly that more people should be asking what everybody's favorite dinosaur is. Mine is Carnotaurus, personally, but
Okay.
I think more people should ask about people's favorite dinosaur.
Okay.
I got one.
Okay.
I want to know how many of my people out there are riding motorcycles all the time.
That's a good question. I'm going to
Mine
flip
would be-
back. Oh, go ahead.
Mine would be what came first, the chicken or the egg, and why?
Hey, look, it's Rob.
Hey, Rob.
He said he chatted with you.
I don't know if we can scooch
Yes,
anymore.
Okay, let's try to get really comfy. Really comfy.
What's
Oh,
up,
boy,
Rob?
Here we go.
I'm here.
So I hoping the car trouble wasn't too serious.
It's pretty serious, but we're getting it worked out.
Well, good. I'm going to flip over to the Instagram tab and just see what's going on. We've got a lot of people over in the chat. Like I said, Tricord's in there. Somebody, Voltaire's Ghost Band is in there. So, we're pretty much at the end of things now, and I want to give you guys the opportunity. If you have any shows coming up that you'd like to hype, or any new material coming out that you'd like to hype, have at it.
I think the next thing we have coming up, we've got next stuff coming up, we've got Parking Lot Praise in Columbus, Georgia at the end of this month. That's going to be pretty cool. We're playing that with Jamie Grace and Tadashi and some other artists. Yeah, Tadashi is headlining. So it's going to be a good time. It's a multi-genre family event out in Columbus. So that'll be a lot of fun. And then after that, we're going to Indianapolis with CeeLo Productions to play with Undefeated and Ignescent, and I'm super stoked. I have yet to actually meet Undefeated in person. These jokers all got to meet them this weekend, and I was homesick. So
Much fun.
that
Yeah,
was
they're
sad.
awesome.
So I'm very excited to finally meet them. They are amazing people, at least online.
Just as amazing in person.
I assume just as amazing person. So I'm hyped about that.
I always wanted.
I
to
really
They're
had a great time talking with them the other night. They were a blast. So
Oh, you did an interview with them?
yeah, a couple nights ago.
Perfect.
That's awesome.
And we got we also have, if anybody's local to
Oh yeah,
you can come see you're here local. You can
Yeah.
come see we're playing
Breaking Bands.
Breaking
at Mad
Bands
Life.
Yeah, Mad Life in Woodstock.
Oh yeah.
7th, right?
Yep, 27th of August.
Yeah, 27th of August. Yeah. Yeah. So
Very cool. I
anybody
will.
who's in the Georgia area, North Georgia area, come see us. It'll be fun.
Or if you're not in
Oh
Georgia.
yeah.
Yeah, come anyway.
Yeah. So, well, like I said, we're pretty much at the end of things now, but I want to thank you guys for your time. This has just been awesome. I've gotten a lot out of it, and I hope anybody that's been watching in the audience, and anybody that's going to catch this on a replay or whatever, gets as much out of this as I have. This has just been amazing. Each of you really is so passionate and so gifted with this, and it's really been a pleasure talking to you guys and hearing your stories and just delving into the music a bit. I mean, I really couldn't have asked for a better live stream tonight. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you for having us.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Absolutely. So anyway, like I said, for those of you guys that have been watching this live, thank you. For those of you that will be watching this on replays, thank you for that. If you like what we've got going here, continue to spread the word. This thing is really starting to get some traction. Next week on Tuesday, I've got the monthly New Music Spotlight show, and I've actually got I've got a band from the Gainesville area called Something Haunted, and their new single is dropping on Friday, and they actually pre-recorded a segment with me, so we're going to be playing that song in its entirety, and then playing a pre-recorded segment of them discussing the song and all of that. And then I've got a couple of other bands that I'm working on getting. I don't have firm commitments yet, but hopefully we'll have at least one or two other bands on that show. So that'll be this coming Tuesday at 7 p.m. And then next Wednesday and Thursday, I've got episodes 2 and 3 of our sister show, The Throwdown with Matt. I'm a professional wrestling fan, and I'm actually going to be interviewing 2 indie wrestlers who are wrestling in the independent leagues. And so that'll just be kind of fun, just something different from the music, but I'm finding that there's a lot of overlap between music fans and wrestling fans. So it's been interesting how much interplay there is with that.
You might
So
not,
anyway,
sorry,
go ahead.
believe me, my dad used to do fight night like every time there was a big event. So I grew up watching pro wrestling with my dad.
Oh yeah.
It's one of my favorite nights of the month.
Do you remember the Highwaymen from the 80s by chance?
The Highwaymen, yeah. I remember the Highwaymen and the Four Horsemen.
Yeah, so the Highwaymen, I actually worked with Nathan Webb. He was, I forget which guy he was, but
Was his name Mad Max?
I think it was Mad Max, maybe. It might have been. But anyway, I don't remember. It was a long time ago. But I worked with him for a long time. He owned a garage door company around here in Atlanta, and I got to put up doors in golly, I don't remember who it was. Anyway, I want to embarrass myself for not remembering. But I worked with them, so that was fun.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, anyway, so that's kind of what's coming up. And then the following week, I've got some more live streams and various levels of commitment. So I'm waiting for some things to solidify. But this thing has really, I started doing these in late January, and it's really picking up some traction. And I'm just having the time of my life doing these. So anyway, like I said, we'll go ahead and call it a night. But thank you guys, and everybody watching. Thank you. Have a safe night, and we'll be back next week.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
man. Thanks so
Thank
much.
you.